Hey, what's up? It's Emilio Despirito, and this is the Wealth Architect Podcast. I'm so excited to be here with you each and every single week. My team and I have hand-selected our guests to come on the program to talk about how to build wealth financially, mentally, physically, spiritually, right? There's so much that goes into building a lifestyle full of wealth, and we hope that this content really reaches you, not only in your brain, but in your heart, and that you could do something with this. So thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you, and we're going to have a great show. Hey, a special thank you to our sponsor, Annie Mac Home Mortgage, whose Cash to Keys product is disrupting the industry. Sick and tired of finding the perfect home, not having your offer selected? I got to tell you, it happens all the time. With Cash to Keys, Annie Mac gives sellers a cash guarantee for each of their buyers' offers. Stop bidding and hoping. Instead, bid with Annie Mac and bid with confidence. Don't just bid, but win. Annie Mac Mortgage. I'd like to take a minute and thank Ted Topouzis, my friend over at Topouzis and Associates, for sponsoring this program, making this message possible for you to hear. And if you're fortunate enough to live in Florida, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Connecticut, you're going to want to leverage the power behind Ted Topouzis and his team for your real estate transactions. You need a legal team that understands real estate inside and out, and this is what they do, specifically real estate. So go ahead and contact our friends at taclosinglaw.com and let them know where you heard it, right here on The Wealth Architect, Topouzis and Associates. All right, Season 2, Episode 1 of the Wealth Architect Podcast. I'm Emilio Despirito, your host. We have a fantastic guest with us here today, and we're going to be talking about building wealth through real estate, which is one of my favorite topics here, and ultimately through wholesaling. But we're going to learn a little bit more about what wholesaling is, how to do it, and how to do it at a massive level from somebody who is really crushing the game. He's one of the top influencers in this area of the marketplace, locally, regionally, and now becoming nationally known. It's CJ Moss. What's up, CJ? Good to see you, CJ.
Dude, happy to be here, Emilio.
Thank you so much.
We had, you cool if I jump in?
Please.
Right away?
Yeah.
Dude, you're a blast from the past for me because when I got started, I don't even remember the street, but I called you on the East Providence house.
Oxford Street, I think.
56 Oxford.
Yeah.
I had no experience. I don't even know how I found you, but you held my hand through that process. And then we kind of drifted apart. You built your incredible business. I built my business. But dude, you'll always have like a role deep down in my real estate heart for that.
Thank you, CJ. I appreciate that. And that's part of like why I invited you on, because I remember when you were building this thing, you were like, hey, Emilio, I got this vision. You told me about it, but you didn't only tell me about it, you've built it. And now I can't go down 95 without seeing you and Beth. Beth is his wife and business partner on the billboard, Moss Home Solutions. And I called you the other day and I was like, CJ, like you guys are doing some impressive stuff. I want to have you on the program. I want to educate our listeners about wholesaling, but also what goes on behind the scenes. You don't just turn a switch or turn a key and operate a business like you do with over 150 million in closed transactions, 20 people on your team. That's a massive operation. So I want to dig down and ask you some questions there too.
Yeah, let's go. I'm excited.
Awesome. I'm excited too. So before we get into that though, CJ, can you just give us an idea a little bit about like just a basic, like explain it to like a 7-year-old. What is wholesaling?
So wholesaling is, we call it assignment of contracts, but for the 7-year-old, it's basically like, let's say I want to go to an event, right? So what's your like sports team of choice?
I really don't watch sports, but I guess the Patriots.
The Patriots?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not a Patriots fan, but I know a seller who's got season tickets who's looking to sell a ticket, right? So I agree with that seller to buy the ticket for $100, but I don't want to go to the game. And there's another guy who's a buyer who really wants to go to the game and they're willing to pay $150 for that ticket. So I agree with the seller of the ticket for $100. I agree with the buyer ticket for $150. I make the $50 in between, and then that buyer goes to the game.
Wow,
right?
that was perfectly explained.
So that's like with houses, you find a house, generally a distressed house for $100,000, right? I never take title, but I sign the P&S with the seller, and then I find a buyer who wants to buy it for $150,000. And I make the difference between those offers.
Awesome. Very well explained, easy to understand. So let's say I'm the seller though, like why wouldn't I put that house on the market with a realtor?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's the question that I get asked, even from our employees that start with us. Like our director of marketing who started 10 weeks ago was like, CJ, this just doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you go get top dollar? And it's because people don't always value money the most. If you list, if our sellers list with you, they will make more money, guaranteed, right? But some sellers don't value that, which is surprising to people. They value discretion. They value guarantee, a quick closing timeline. Sometimes they're in such distress. They don't want the headache. They don't want inspections. Sometimes they're embarrassed of the home.
Yeah, true.
You know, they want a quick guaranteed sale. They don't even want their family members seeing if it's a hoarding situation or whatever. There's a million reasons, but we don't compete with you for your listings.
That's right.
They're very different sellers.
Wow, that's true. I always wondered that because I see the assignment fees, I see all this happening. I'm like, well, what if those sellers put it on the marketplace? And I put my realtor hat on. And I'm like, what would they have gotten? But I think you hit the nail on the head. And over the years, I've run into so many sellers in distress situations. And they were like, hey, Emilio, the property is in rough shape. Can you sell it? And they're harder to sell as is, right? Because we're putting it out there to everybody. But distressed properties do sell for less. They take more time to sell. So I can see like it being attractive where you're going in saying, I'm going to lock this up by this date. It's done. You're out.
That's it. And when we meet with the seller, we say, listen, if money is your priority, you got to go list it with a realtor. We can give you referrals. That's no problem. If time is not an issue. But if speed and convenience is your priority, then we're your right buyer.
All right. Awesome. Good. So now you understand what wholesaling is. Maybe you already knew what wholesaling is, but maybe you want to get into the business, or maybe you want to just do something, or maybe you want to work with wholesalers if you're in real estate. We're going to learn about all of that right now from somebody who, like I said, did over 150 million in volume, who does it at a big level. I mean, I get your postcards in my mailbox.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. So let's talk about like the type of marketing that you do, right? Or actually, let me back up a little further, right? We met several years back. Let's first talk about the vision that you had for your company and how the hell did you get that off the ground?
Yeah, it was an evolution that happened over time. Originally, it was like, hey, let me buy multifamilies because I want this passive income. I want to build this wealth. I don't want to work for anyone. But I ran out of cash quickly, and then I realized, okay, well, or I didn't realize, but I had to learn what can I do to generate cash fast to put into the multifamilies. But then a period happened where it started working. My wife and I, we started sending out direct mail, and we get these deals and we'd assign them. And for the first time in my life, in 2019, I started to see big checks. Even like, 14K, 30K, 20K,
It's big
40K,
money.
whatever. I was like, this is exciting. I want more of this. And then slowly, I kept buying the multis, but the wholesale became my priority. And basically, I'd set a new goal. Let's do more rev. We need to hire more people. Okay, we need to learn how to run a company. That got us into like familiar with EOS and traction.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just like a constant evolution of improvement. And then, okay, I want to be the biggest wholesaler in Rhode Island, in Massachusetts, in New England. And like, I'm a goal guy. I'm just obsessed with growth. And this kind of happened over time.
That's amazing. So it didn't just kind of happen over time. I mean, you and Beth have built that, which is unbelievable. And what I like about wholesaling and that type of business is that you're not holding on to an inventory. There's no broken toilets. There's no tenants that are calling you, complaining about their stuff. So it's more of I don't want to say passive, because you have to be aggressive in the business. You have to be doing all the outreach, but it's much more profitable short term, right? Than dealing with tenants and trying to make a few $100s off of each rent.
That's
imagine.
It. Like, we run a sales and a marketing company. It happens to be in the real estate business or industry. But you're right. Like, we don't take title. You don't have to manage labor. You don't have to get the contractors. You don't have to get the materials, the interest, the insurance, the headaches, right? We have different challenges. We have challenges of running a big business. And there are certainly challenges with that. But you're making money a lot faster.
But there's a lot of risk involved too, right? So when you first start out, when you first started getting that traction and you were seeing some results, can you give me maybe your top like 2 or 3 marketing channels where you were getting listings from, where you were getting, not listings, but where were you getting these wholesaling deals from?
Yeah, when we first started, it was as simple as Beth would go out and she did our driving for dollars, right? So she was in this like beat up Honda Accord. She would drive for like 40 hours a week, right? And her goal, her KPI, her key performance indicator, was 700 addresses a week.
Wow.
Right. So we'd get that 700 and then we'd submit it to a direct mail company. They'd send postcards to those 700 addresses. And then we get calls, go on the appointments, lock them up, and slowly just kind of increasing. But if you're a wholesaler looking for like, how do I spend my money wisely to start? Driving for dollars. You get the Deal Machine app. You literally drive around the roads, pin addresses of distressed properties. You know they're distressed. And then you can call them, you can mail them, but that's how we started.
Wow, that's amazing. So I wanted to ask you that because pretty humble start, right? And now with 20 employees, it's completely different. So let's talk about your 5 most valuable or your 5 most, what are those top earners as far as like marketing or programs that you're using that are bringing in those deals, those dollars? What are those?
Okay, so the foundation is direct mail. That's your foundation because you're going to drive lead gen immediately.
Direct mail is huge.
Huge.
It's got 100% open rate, right? Especially if it's a postcard.
Right, if it's a postcard.
They look at it. They don't even need to open it.
We send out a basic pink postcard. It's a small one. It says notice on it. So when you see a pink notice, you're going to pick it up.
Well, you think it's like government or something. Or...
Something potentially bad you're going to look at, right?
Yeah.
So we send out a ton of direct mail, and then we back that. That's the foundation forever, though. If I had to go to anything, it'd be direct mail.
Yep.
And then we back that with TV, radio, pay-per-click advertising like Google Ad, SEO, billboards, and cold calling.
And so why are you doing all of that media in addition to that card?
You know, it helps us stand. Number one, it's really brand recognition. If you're a wholesaler or a flipper or whatever, you're just trying to get a couple more deals a year, I wouldn't recommend it. It's very expensive. All that media marketing is very expensive. But if you're trying to build a brand, like I tell my team, and let me ask you this question. You got to go buy a hammer in the next 45 minutes. Where are you going?
Home Depot.
You said it like this. You didn't even think about it. Home Depot. My goal is if someone needs to sell their house fast for cash, Muscle Solutions.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it, right? You saw us on the billboard. You got a postcard. You saw my commercial. You heard me on the radio. You can't escape us, right? That's the goal.
Now, what is that type of, I mean, like, look, that you have 3 or 4, maybe more billboards on 95. I know that those go for anywhere from 5 to 8, maybe 10,000 a month each, or a flight, right? Each, right? And they're all over the state, not just on 95. What is your monthly ad, your monthly marketing spend to do this?
Yeah.
Radio, TV, billboards.
It's a lot. It's like 380 grand.
380 grand. I remember when you said it was 100 grand, you're at an Axe Capital event, I think. 100 grand a month, and floors like jaws hit the floor.
You know what's funny is, so I review the P&L with our finance guy and the marketing person every month.
Yeah.
And I think back at that because when I said that, you're right. People are like, oh, like you spend 100 grand a month,
1.2 million a year.
Yeah. And now I'm like, dude, it's almost 400 a month.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild, but it works.
It works. But you're entering, so now the business, we spend just over 800 grand a month total, right? It's a high burn rate. So I've made the intentional decision, I'm going to grow this thing, right? Which means I need deals. Every day I need deals.
Oh, sales is the lifeblood of any business. You have a business problem, it probably correlates with sales or poor management.
100%, right? So if sales aren't coming through the door, my bills don't stop.
Yeah.
Right. So it's good because we're profitable and it's working and we're growing. But if there's going to be anything that keeps me up at night, it's knowing what I got to spend a month to keep alive.
Yeah. I mean, 800,000 is a lot to keep you up at night with, you know?
Yeah, fair amount.
Definitely. And so here's the other thing too, though, is that most people don't understand the risk that business people take. You have mouths to feed. You have to make sure that your team comes to work every day motivated and to operate not just like little levels, medium levels, but at high levels. Okay. What are you doing to keep your salespeople motivated, to creating that culture at Moss Home Solutions that makes them say, you know what, this is the place I want to be. This is where I'm going to grow my career. Like, what does that look like?
That's a great question. We have an incredible culture at Moss Home. I think it's from like my basketball background, knowing
Team
how
player.
The team is everything. It's not an individual sport.
Amen.
Your team, they need to feel heard. They need to feel valued. You got to compensate them well. You got to motivate them and you got to hold them accountable and you got to provide growth opportunities. Like we're so hyper focused on this. You know, this is wild. So our hours are 8 to 4.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, you have hours.
Yeah. We have hours, 8 to 4.
That's impressive. I'll take some notes there. That's good.
Our sales director, this guy gets in at 5:30 in the morning.
All right.
Right. And there's probably maybe 6 people in there already by 7:30, 7:15, something like that. People aren't leaving until 5 o'clock. Like they're committed to the mission of, you know, the goal right now is how do we grow a $100 million company? That's the short-term goal. And they're totally bought into the mission.
Good. And you can see that. Like you can see that in the videos you guys do and the social media, but also in person at events, just how your team all works together. And when you have people that believe in one mission, that's nothing but success right there. Because you're going to take the hits and you're going to be able to move forward with anything. Yeah.
And like they have to feel like you care about them. You know, my mom was the COO of Coastal. Have you heard of Coastal Medical?
No, not
big medical company in Rhode Island that sold, but she was the COO there for a long time. So lucky for me, I have like this consultant COO on my shoulder who I talk to every day.
That's sick. Yeah.
Right. But she coaches my whole team. You know, she meets with individually every other week and just, hey, what are your challenges? What are you facing? You know, what are your issues?
Wow.
And we do a lot of stuff like that. You know, we help them with flips. We help them with multis. We help them with lending. Whatever we can do to like prop them up while we also grow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your team also, they're buying these properties. They're flipping these properties. That's great. How many flips a year do you do?
0. Done.
None.
Not doing
but
it
you were
anymore.
doing it before.
I was doing it before. I want no part of any flip ever again.
Wow. So, all right. So you do wholesaling, you're running this business. Like what else? Because I know you're a man of like many missions, right? Or maybe you're honing it into one. I don't know. Is there anything else that you're doing that you found as an opportunity through real estate or through this that now you're venturing off and trying something new or?
You know, that's an amazing question. And it's a question that people need to ask themselves and be very intentional with, because I've taken the laser focused approach. Horse blinders on, don't talk about anything except for wholesaling real estate, because I want to become good at it. And anything, like Nathan Clark says this one line, he's like, the only place you'll see someone riding 2 horses is in a circus. Don't do it. Ride your horse and become an expert at it.
Wow. Yeah, it's a great quote.
Right. And I was actually with Kyle Siebert this morning.
What's up, Kyle? Shout out. He was on the show.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah, did a good job.
Amazing guy, super knowledgeable about the industry. And he was talking about this pyramid of real estate. Start off with wholesalers. Easiest barrier to entry. You don't need a license. You can go door knock, get a deal. Then brokers, and then he went up to like developers and eventually the bank if you're a lender, right? Just a quick little thing. People think about wholesalers as kind of bottom of the barrel and they graduate. I'm going to start flipping and multis and all this other stuff. My approach has been, you know what? Let me just become the best in the country at this one thing at a whole nother level. Like I'm going to build a business where I have a COO and a CFO and a director of sales and a true business because I don't have competition at that level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the approach. I am considering lending. You know, I'm considering starting a brokerage and a title company to kind of like help my business to vertically integrate. But I'm also hyper aware that I cannot get distracted from the main thing.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So what is the overall vision? Do you want to be in other states? Because you're currently in Massachusetts. Are you in Connecticut too?
Not really.
You're not really. But how many states do you want to eventually be in? Is it all 50? Do you want to franchise the model out? Do you want to run it? What does that look like?
Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
I don't want to franchise it out because I don't want to have people owning my company who I can't control. And that's important to me.
Are you a control kind of freak?
I'm really good at delegating, but I just don't trust people.
Yeah.
Like my mentor runs Joe Homebuyer.
Yep.
It's a wholesale franchise where they have like 100 franchisees.
Wow. Yeah.
He's had to take a lot back, you know, because they don't have that drive. Like, dude, you built this. You're a dog. You're an entrepreneurial dog at heart, polished, professional, clean. But that's who you are. I would feel good about you.
The video editors make it look that way. You saw the launch of this show, man. It took me like 4 takes, but that's okay.
But seriously, that's my point. You know, as opposed to someone who's buying a franchise, I don't know if I can trust them. But the vision is, I want to get into 10 to 20 markets, right? So like Hartford's a market, New Hampshire's a market, New Jersey or Trenton's a market.
Yep.
10 to 20, all doing between 5 to 10 million a year. just from that, in gross revenue.
Profit. Yeah, gross revenue.
In gross rev. So if we can get to 100 mil by 2030 in these markets. And then who knows? I think about vertical integration because there might be an exit at some point. If I can create this beautiful system that a private equity firm wants to come buy, so let's go,
Huge.
I would consider it, or just keep growing and growing, and who knows where this will go.
So and that's amazing. So you and Beth, your wife, your business partner, you're about to have a baby soon.
Yeah.
And a girl, right?
Yep, baby girl.
All right, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, all right, do you picture having a business you can hand down, like a legacy? Do you think she'll be involved in Moss Home Solutions, or do you want her to just not have to work? Like, I'm kind of curious.
I have no expectations of anything.
Yeah.
I want her to be a confident, super supported, self-sufficient human who will chase her dreams.
Awesome.
I don't care what those are.
Yeah.
No expectations. I don't want her to inherit the company. If she wanted to, if she became a beast and was like, Dad, get out of here. I'm taking this thing to the next level.
Maybe. I mean,
dude, let's go.
Yeah.
But if she wants to be a ballerina and go to Europe and have a career there, I'll 100% support it.
Yeah. And that's amazing. And the lifestyle that you and Beth are building with your business, not only for yourself, but all of your employees, like you have the freedom to be able to do that. Let's talk about wealth, and let's talk about what wealth means to you. What does it mean to you? Like, when you think of wealth, what does that mean to CJ Moss?
I think wealth to me is freedom. That's what it means to me. It's not a dollar amount. It's, can I get up and do anything I want in this world within some sort of reason and not even think about it. I want to fly first class to Spain. Like, we're going to Spain next week. We're flying first class, right? And I'm not saying this to brag. This is what wealth means.
No, that's great.
We rented a villa where my parents are coming, Beth's parents are coming, Beth's sister and her boyfriend are coming, right on the ocean in Mallorca. No one pays for anything except for us. That's what wealth is. It's exciting. I'm like, we're going first class. Like, we're going to ball out and treat everyone well, right? Dude, I wear a $12 watch. This isn't what wealth is to me.
Yeah.
I don't need, I think and I don't even know about future generations. With my daughter, she's going to work. I don't think that you can raise kids giving them everything that they want.
I agree with that. Yeah.
How are they going to develop a work ethic? And, so that's wealth, freedom.
I love that. That's perfect. Well said. And, I think too many times people put it into like how it looks, how they appear, like the watch, like things like that, the car. And it's not that. It's I love what you said about taking your family on a trip. Like, there's nothing better than being able to give to the people that you love, or being able to give to people in need, and the freedom to be able to do it all whenever you want it. So that's amazing.
That's the thing. I feel like if you really value material things, you buy the dope car, you buy all this and all that or whatever, right? Sometimes your identity can get kind of like intertwined with that.
Yeah.
And then if all that stuff is taken away from you, you like lose yourself. Right? But if you value things like what are the most important things in our lives? It's family, friends, loved ones, helping our employees, having a purpose. None of that has to deal with like, owning a Gucci bag or something.
True. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So how about this? If you were to lose it all today, what would you do?
I'd be pretty sad.
Yeah.
It might take me like a week to get over it. Dude, I know how to run a business.
Yep.
I know sales and marketing.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what industry I went into, I would be successful, because I've developed skills that I've worked very hard and intentionally to achieve and to attain. So I would just figure it out. Like, I figured it out fast.
That's right. You don't lose your skills.
No.
You got all of that. You're you, and you're going to do it again.
Whatever it is, like, people like us, we figure it out. That's what we do. And we don't let obstacles stop us.
That's right.
Put you in any business, in any situation, you're going to figure it out.
That's right. You got to have that kind of the confidence that you can and that you will, that's right. How about this? What do you think is the most important skill for anybody in business? The most important skill, that number one most important skill for any business, for any business person. What is it?
Oh man, I don't know if it's a skill or an attribute. I would say just extreme tenacity. When you started your real estate career, were you working a 9 to 5?
No, I had a company called Sold in 30 where I'd sell people's personal property items. I started at the bottom of the market and I figured people were probably losing their homes and they need to make money each way. I could sell like a boat that I know nothing about, or I could sell a car, or I could sell stuff, get that money in their pocket, get some quick money in mine while I'm listing their homes. But that's it. I was all in on the real estate.
You were all in.
Yeah.
Like you weren't going back into
I
like the
burnt my
salary.
ships. Yeah.
You burned the ships.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do. You got to burn the ships.
Agreed.
Go
Yeah.
all in. There's no plan B. Because if there's a plan B, you'll take your foot off the gas a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you're just going to be tenacious and just do whatever it takes to get it done.
I was not expecting tenacity, but tenacity, man, is I think that's huge. And that's a much larger kind of look at it. Because that covers pretty much everything. If you have tenacity, you're going to get through, you're going to plow through
Yeah.
stuff.
I think there are certainly other things like awareness, communication. Yeah, I think you're probably very good at both of those things. You're very aware of the relationships you want to develop, and I can see that you're almost like a facilitator. Even if you're not going to make money today monetarily, you'll facilitate things, build relationships, just knowing that it's going to help your business
That's
grow.
right. Because money doesn't drive people like us, right? And that's really the point I want to nail home to anybody listening to this. Is it's not about money. Wealth is about the freedom. It's about the physical, mental, spiritual, mental. I already said mental. It's about clarity, and then it's about financial. And yes, you need financial wealth to be doing some of this stuff, sure, but there's so much more to the picture. And CJ, I loved interviewing you. It was great to have you in here. I respect what you and Beth are doing, and congratulations on all of your success. I'd love to have you back on again.
I would love to join.
Thanks,
you, Emilio.
man. Great job. Awesome. When you're buying real estate, you need somebody that understands the ins and outs of the legal ends. It's so important to have the right attorney working for you. You also need a bulldog. Let me tell you something. The first time I sat in a conference room with this lady, Melissa Delana of Delana Law, I immediately knew she owned the room. You need an attorney that owns the room, that can solve problems and make things happen when everybody else can't. You want to hire Delana Law in Massachusetts, Connecticut, or Rhode Island. Delana Law delivers every single time. They're going to help you out with all of your real estate needs. It's delanalaw.com. You got to check them out. Welcome to The Wealth Architect. I'm Emilio Despirito, and this is your podcast all about building wealth. This is episode 1 of season 2. I'm really excited for this next guest. I've known her for years, well over a decade. She is an expert in her field with over 20 years, I think it's 21 or 23 years of experience as a financial advisor. She's so much more than that, right? She is the blueprint to financial success, which is huge. And Mary, I hope that serves you well. I just came up with that. I don't know, but
you're too kind.
So I wanted to introduce Mary Brimer, financial planner and owner of Ginger Green Financial. Mary, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Good to have you. The topic today, I think, is fantastic, and I haven't heard anybody really talk about this, so I'm excited for this one, is wasting away, the dual decay of aging homes in the golden years, right? And the golden years. So perfect subject, right? We're working with people that are, becoming ready for retirement or past retirement, and they have these homes that are kind of falling apart right in front of your eyes, right? And that's what we're going to dig in today. So can you explain a little bit about what the legal term is of wasting away, the dual decay of aging homes in the golden years?
Sure. Wasting is exactly what it sounds like. It's an asset that's depreciating because it's not being kept up with. It's not being maintained. And that typically there's lack of financial resource to support the ongoing upkeep, maintenance, and improvement of a home. So it starts to, the old home on the block that hasn't been updated in 30, 40 years.
No, we all
that's
got
what we're
them,
talking about.
Yeah.
And it can hit all demographics. This is not just the golden years. It can certainly hit younger demographics as well, but we know the house that we're talking about.
And, so the sad thing is like when that starts happening, right? The grass gets like 2 feet tall, the paint starts chipping, the roof gets a little hole in it. All of that stuff just starts all of that maintenance just starts piling up. And the value of the property, the value of the asset comes down. And then you get the fine on the door from the town saying, hey, you didn't cut your grass. It's $1,000 fine. It's this much every day. And the property taxes.
And the neighbors don't like you
And the
because it's
neighbors
dragging down their property value. Nobody wants to live next to that house.
So, I mean, I see this as a problem because I'm out there all the time. I'm on the road and I'm in many neighborhoods, and I see this as a problem. Why are people getting stuck in this trap? Or is it a trap? Is there a way out? What is that?
It comes down to many people don't intentionally think about their retirement and what it looks like to continue living in a home until the day they die. Most people don't think about aging in terms of not being able to physically keep up with cleaning the house or cutting the lawn. And we see it in the senior years where one spouse dies and the remaining spouse is just left with one Social Security check. So there's a loss of income right out of the gate. We also see it in divorces where, one parent keeps the house, has to buy the other person out, and it's too much of a stretch if you have children, and they just simply cannot afford to keep up with the maintenance and support the house. So it starts to deteriorate and everybody can see it. But it's really a reluctance to make the right decision. People are very emotionally tied to their houses. They have an identity that's associated with it. And the older people get, the more resistant they are to being moved. And I always think about aging as if you can be in a single level home as a older person, that's the most ideal situation because it's safe. You're going to be so much safer in a single level home than one with stairs or having to go down the stairs for laundry. I can't tell you how many times we hear about somebody falling down the stairs.
Sad, yeah. I was just at a couple's house yesterday, and he's 80 years old, and he said, they're talking about downsizing, and he said to me, Emilio, I want a house with 2 floors, and his wife looked at him like, what are you talking about, right?
Elevators are a popular installation now in homes. For people that are planning to age in their home well, they're installing elevators. When they go in and do a remodel, it's really very forward thinking.
Here's his take. You got a guy that's playing tennis, a guy that's like, very active. And he said, if I stop using my legs, if I stop going up and down stairs, I might, not be able to. And I was like, wow, that's a really good take. So I hear what you're saying. I think for most people, the 1 floor definitely makes sense. But for a guy like that,
there's not a lot of inventory of that too. There's definitely a high demand for single level living.
Oh my gosh. So that single family home, like single level homes, right? In Rhode Island are the best selling homes, right? Like I build homes. I also renovate homes and sell them flip, right? And I always go for the single level homes because first time buyers want them. People downsizing want them. They're so versatile.
We just bought one 2 years ago. And let me tell you, single level living is so underrated. It is a big deal to be on one level.
Yeah, it is. So, all right, let's talk about like, a lot of like older millennials. Like I'm actually an older millennial, right? And
I think Gen X wants you in our camp.
Yeah, I know. I've identified as Gen X for a while when the millennials
I think we
got
all,
a little weird.
we're going to claim you on our camp.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm a couple of years away from that actually, but ultimately, so like the older millennials, the Gen Xers, right? We're dealing with our parents that are aging.
We're the sandwich generation. So we have our children to take care of and get through college, and then we have our aging parents that may not have put a lot of thought into their financial ability to continue, physical ability and financial ability to continue to safely age with grace in their home. That puts additional stress and pressure and burden on the nearest living children that can help out. And that can be anything, looks like anything from caregiving, grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, cutting the lawn, fixing the porch, changing light bulbs. It's all of those things that tend to add up over time.
It does, yeah. And sometimes, and if your children, right, like they have a family of their own, or maybe they don't have the time, or they're stuck at work, or they don't have the money or the resources to be able to help, it only gets worse from there. I see that happen all of the time, which is sad.
See, if you have the financial resources, especially outside of retirement accounts, you have savings, you have brokerage accounts, it becomes so much easier to stay in your home until the day that you die, which is kind of what everybody wants. They just want to die peacefully in their sleep on their 95th birthday. And that's it. But it doesn't really work out like that. And so you have to think about what is your ability to pay, right? If you can afford to pay for a landscaper, you can pay for a handyman, that you keep up with your property, that you're emotionally engaged in it and still finding joy from it, that's different. But when we see folks that they're reluctant to spend money, they don't want to let go of their money because there's a finite resource of it, maybe a modest IRA, maybe just a CD in the bank, and suddenly they don't want to pay for help. They don't want to pay for a caregiver. So everybody wants to stay in their home. They don't want to sell it, but they also don't want to pay for help. And so it's a conversation for Gen X in particular and older millennials to start having with your aging parents of, what is this going to look like? And then an opportunity of, can you sell a house that parents are living in, older parents, and bring them into your own home, whether it's through an in-law apartment or get them downsized, get them into a retirement community, because the reality is in retirement communities that are self-selected, not under, force of giving up and your age and health isn't cooperating, but people live longer and they live better because they have socialization, their needs are met, there are services that are provided. And I'm talking about assisted livings and retirement communities, not state-run nursing homes, which is unfortunately what happens. You have to pay attention to the market. Exactly. It's not a pretty sight. And you want to be paying attention to what the market value of your home is. If it's never going to be higher than it is right now because of the demand, well, now's your moment of opportunity.
Yeah.
To make some choices and get out of it. It's the hardest part is making the decision. And then once it's over, once you've made the decision, life gets easier. You get a new chapter.
Sure does. People, I think, are reluctant to change because it's the unknown and they're scared of it. And it's kind of like you can't teach a old dog new tricks type of thing. So you see people that are, in that mindset that feel like, hey, it's not going to get better from here, but they're also lonely.
Loneliness is a huge problem and a lot of depression.
It's an epidemic. Like, it is huge. Like it's happening a lot and it's sad.
Especially when people are widowed and when you're aging, if you haven't made younger friendships, then your friends are dying around you and your family members as well. And that also contributes and compounds depression. My grandmother had told me on one of her 90th birthdays, somewhere in the early 90s, she said, "Sweetie, you're going to live a long life. So make sure by the time you turn 50, you don't make a single friend over the age of 50 because you're going to live a long time and need a lot of young people to help out." And I just thought, what great advice, because it's true. We have longevity in our family, thank God. So you got to take care of the vessel and you got to take care of the money so that you don't age with from a position of scarcity, right? And lack versus abundance of, I get to live here. My home is paid for. I can afford to hire help and I can, I get to live in my own home because and do it safely. That's really what it comes down to is, I evaluate this with folks all the time that are making difficult decisions is it safe? Is it healthy? There's two different, you can live very dysfunctionally and unhealthy. That's a personal choice and that's a right. But when it comes down to safety, that's where you're forcing others, kind of like wrestling the keys away from grandpa. We all have to do it at some point.
Oh, yeah. Sad.
And the living alone piece, that's what happens when people have delayed recognizing within themselves that it's gone on too long, that it's no longer healthy for depression purposes and no longer safe for mobility purposes to stay at home.
Absolutely. You said it, you had a point there where you said the market has never been higher, right?
It's starting to shift, I think,
Correct.
a little bit. And if you didn't sell in the last, year or two, you got limited time left to really cash out at the high at this point.
2 years ago was more or less the peak for homes that needed work.
Absolutely.
Now homes that need work.
I bought one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're still working on it 2 years later, right? So like the day, and I thought that was brilliant what you said about like the market is pretty peaked, but the houses that need work now, buyers are going in because there's decreased competition with other buyers, because there's double the inventory. Houses that need work sit a little longer. They might not sell as high as they did. And people are going in asking for concessions, which take from your bottom dollar, right? And I don't know that that's going to get better. I do think if they drop the interest rates, I think what could happen is inventory could drop more. And in that instance, that is your ticket. That is your time to go. But you can't time the market,
No.
You don't know if that's going to happen.
No, and you know what? I sold a house in January, so houses sell year round,
They
right?
sure do, yeah.
There's so much energy and emotional effort that is expended in selling a home. But once you make the
sure is.
decision and you hire the right team, the right listing agent that's going to do the right marketing, that can accurately convey, realistically convey what your sale price should be, not what you think it was 2 years ago, but the
Yeah.
reality of what the market is commanding right now. And you get it listed and you have somebody really represent you and guide you through the sale process and lay out an agenda of expectations, it becomes so much easier.
Yeah, it definitely does. I see so many times, especially people in this situation with homes that are kind of little hurt up, little falling apart, right? I see them overprice their home. They say,
I
I'm gonna
laugh at it.
overprice it. I don't take the listing.
No, because from a buyer perspective, my 25-year-old daughter and new son-in-law are looking for a home up in New Hampshire where they live,
beautiful spot.
and the listings, people are putting houses on for $400,000. The lawn is burnt, the driveway's cracking. They've got Formica on the countertops and paneling in the house, and the bathrooms are outdated.
You're
And-
2
and I'm
hours
like,
to the grocery store.
I'm like, give me a break. US dollars, pesos, maybe.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, this is crazy. It's just not worth that. So the inventory is definitely starting to expand a little bit. And I go through this with people on investments all the time. It's doing good. I don't want to change it. And I go, but it's my job to tell you when we should be making a shift. That's
right.
why I'm telling you to make a shift. We don't make a shift when everything is on fire. We make a shift right now while
Yeah.
things are going good. And this is the exact same thing. When everything is good, when you're healthy, when you have your faculties, when you're part of the decision, this is a very easy, it's an adventurous thing to do, but people tend to fear the unknown. I'll go with the devil I know versus the angel that could be on the other side, because it's the fear of getting there. Plus, if you're looking to what all of your friends are doing, everybody comes from different socioeconomic backgrounds. Not everybody retires with the same financial resource. So that also contributes to depression, is the competitiveness of not being able to go out to enjoy lunch with friends and things like that, upgrade vehicles. And it's very sad. So if you can avoid all of that, because we are living so much longer than we ever used to. And I'll kind of paraphrase what one of the local family doctors said. He goes, statins are keeping people alive a long, long time. And you think about it, for people that have a lot of underlying comorbidities and they can survive a pandemic and they're still going with diabetes and heart disease and high blood pressure and thyroids, and they're still living well beyond life expectancy. That's prolonging life. And so you want to live well. You don't want to take care of the vessel and take care of your immediate living space.
So the amount of baby boomers out there, I heard a staggering statistic, like they control about 60 to 70% of the wealth in the United States. Most of that wealth is locked up in real estate.
It's the cash. Your cash and net worth is in the walls of the house.
Yeah.
And we used to say, oh, your home is like the largest asset that you'll ever own. That might be true for a lot of the boomers. That's not true for Gen X and millennials that have been actively and aggressively saving in their retirement accounts, that have participated in things like cryptocurrency. Their net worth is coming in from other sources. So those demographics, the home might not be the largest asset, but it is very scary. The group I'm speaking about is boomers, retirees that have a home and a modest IRA. That is a catalyst for disaster. At some point, it's all going, the house of cards is going to fall. It's not enough resource.
Yeah.
And by modest, I mean like less than $300,000.
I think the biggest problem with and I love the boomers, by the way, they're polite.
Yes, this is not beating up on boomers at
Oh,
all,
no,
please.
and by the
Don't
way,
misunderstand this segment at all.
I didn't even take it as
Yeah,
that, right?
no, but I'm just for the audience. Don't misunderstand the
Oh yeah, no,
intent.
I don't think they do, right? And like what I love about the boomers, right, is they don't get as easily offended as the younger generations, but they're polite. They know what they want. A lot of times, they can be stubborn like us in different ways, but their biggest problem, I think, and the reason why some of them are so unhealthy is the way they eat. And and I just see like what my parents or like, my dad's brothers, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. And like the older generation, they eat like trash. Like they drink soda nonstop. They eat Doritos. Like they're eating Steakums. I'm like, what's for dinner? They're like,
Steakums.
Steakums.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
Steakums.
I don't think I've had that since the
like
80s.
high school lunch. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like cut the
bad for
salt,
you.
cut the sugar.
Somebody call RFK Jr. now.
Yeah, and it's like, but I think that like education really, they need to be educated, because that was the generation that was stuck in front of like the TV
The boob tube
dinners.
generation, yep.
Yeah. So,
Well, people die for 3 reasons. Lack of love, which would be relationships,
Loneliness.
social relationships, lack of health, and lack of money. And so when you start putting all of those things together in the golden years, it's bad. And again, going back to the beginning, I mentioned this also happens in the divorcee crowd, where one person bites off more than they can chew, and they tell themselves, I have to keep the house for the kids. No, you don't. You need to have a stable environment, a healthy environment. And part of that healthy environment means having healthy finances. I tell my widows and my divorcees all the time, you can just say, I'm sorry, my circumstances have changed. It is very good. It is very healthy to recalibrate what you're able to do. And if the house is in perfect condition on the way out of a divorce and it's too much of a stretch, your professionals are telling you, we're not coming at you with commission greed saying you need to sell the house. We're telling you for your own well-being, because we know that you can't afford to keep the house. And I see that often. And it's so frustrating because somebody can come out and really get a reset and be in a better place, in a year or two, but they hang on to something that's going to drag them down, like, a ball and anchor or ball and chain. It's just really sad.
It is. And I see that a lot of times with divorce too. I'm going to like list a house. I specialize in divorce. It's one of the things I've learned to do over the years, and how to be an advocate for both parties, a neutral party, get them to the closing table. But you go there's always one party that's hanging on, trying to hang on to the memories, trying to hang on to the house. Now, somebody that went through divorce, I understand, right? But when you have that home that you can't afford and the bills are piling up and that house is just falling apart. A lot of these houses, sometimes they're bigger, right?
Generally they are. They're kind of McMansions.
Yeah,
and
we see it a lot.
The opportunity to cash out of that situation and get a fresh restart. You're never going to
health.
Right. And divorce is a very emotionally charged difficult period of time that lasts a good 2 to 3 years in most people's lives to really get it out of their system and get recalibrated in their new identity.
Sure.
And I would say stop talking to your friends and family about what you should do. Speak to your realtor, your divorce attorney, a really solid CPA, and a really good financial advisor. And if all 4 of those people are telling you the same thing, you need to sell the house, you need to sell the house. Like, it's in your best interest to sell the house. You can keep it. It's America. We can do anything.
Yeah.
But is it in your best interest? Probably not.
You can keep it until you
we
can't.
tell you this with love, because trust me, I don't like watching people go broke. It pains me to see it, because there's no reason for it. We live in America.
So what's the fix? I mean, you've got people that are, aging in place in their home. They can't afford it.
The fix is our group of folks having
Trusted
very
advisors.
honest, but adult children having very real, very frank conversations with their parents about what is going to be in the family's best interest, mom and dad's best interest, in the family's best interest. How can we do this with grace and dignity? And most of the kids aren't interested in the inheritance. They're interested in their time not being burdened, and their emotion, because when you are caregiving, you feel awful all day long. Nothing is ever good enough, and your time is not your own. So it's terrible to be a caregiver.
It's tough. I seen my mom go through that, with my grandparents, and it's a lot of work.
It ages you. It really ages you. And it's expensive, particularly on women who are generally the first ones to volunteer to drop and run and leave work or cut back on their hours. So they're missing Social Security credits that they're building up. They're missing income. They're missing 401k contributions because they're giving of their time. So there's a financial cost. And I'm just going to drop this little one out here, that if you have 3 kids and you think that one daughter is going to do all the work, but you're going to leave everything a third, and a third, equal is not equitable. You need to consider who is contributing the most.
What about when is it too late to be investing in your retirement? Like if you had to give
It's never too late. You can buy a duplex with a reverse mortgage, live in it mortgage free, and rent out the other side. It's never too late.
True. Wow.
It is never too late. You can't. The most powerful asset that you have is compounding time. It's the time is more important than the dollars going in. So young people starting out investing, that's where it's at. Is the sooner you start and systematically. When you're older, we do the best we can with the resources we have, and sometimes that's cashing the cash out of the walls of a house and getting some of that in a market, and maybe still owning a house, buying that duplex with a reverse mortgage like I suggested, and now you have the best of both worlds. You have a roof over your head, additional income, and you have investments in the bank.
That's amazing. So you sell your home, you buy a duplex, you can immediately
downsize, you cash out and downsize.
and you can immediately take out a reverse mortgage. And the way that works is it just basically they pay you every month versus you paying for the mortgage, but they own all the equity.
They own the equity, and so you have no mortgage. And you can, if it's a duplex situation or an in-law apartment, then you can rent out the other unit. As long as it's primary residence owner occupied, then it's totally legit.
Can you buy a 3 or 4 family?
Absolutely.
And do that? So
absolutely. Wow. And it's great for multi-generational living. And I encourage this where I see grandparents that have really solid up-and-coming grandchildren going into college. Rather than finance dormitory living, why not go into that rental situation and skip a generation and give them a hand up?
Wow, solid. I love the fact that you throw real estate into your practice as well, Mary.
It's so important. It's such a multidimensional asset in a portfolio. So how you finance it, how you treat it, when you cash it out, it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have a lot of clients that are maybe, coming to age, they're getting ready for retirement, but they own a ton of rental properties that may be like underperforming or not like... I'm seeing this all of the time.
Well, I think that we're hitting that age in the boomer demographic where they're getting tired and they're saying, you know what, I don't want to take the phone call to flush the toilet. And what I'm noticing for people that are 60 to 75 years old, they're saying to me, I'm risk averse. I don't want somebody to slip and fall on my property. I don't want the responsibility of a potential lawsuit. We've had a number of crazy ones happen for my clients. So if that's you, you need to have a really big umbrella liability policy to protect your assets, because anything outside of your primary residence and your IRA does not have creditor protection unless it's locked up in a trust that even you can't get at. So that's not the way most people are structured. So definitely review your liability coverage. I had somebody ask me yesterday from New Jersey. He goes, how do I protect this? And I said, go get $3 million on an umbrella policy. Stop trying to do complicated trusts. I know you don't want to drop 10 grand on an attorney, and then you make things so complicated that it becomes difficult to manage. That's not the goal. You insure against the risk, or you just cash out and say enough is enough. I mean, when you're owning real estate like that in retirement, it can do things like exacerbate your Medicare premiums, and they start looking at the revenue. They don't really want to raise the rent. They just don't have the heart for it anymore. They're getting tired, and then they're constantly worried about the capital gains. What am I going to pay? Looking at basis and stuff. And a lot of CPAs are getting older, and clients know this, and that is the hardest relationship to end. They don't want to break up, and they don't want to be going on their own with somebody else, because it's been set up and managed by the same CPA for so many years that they're just saying, hey, you know what? We're all getting closer to just, hanging it up. It's been a good run, and take the money out.
That's true. Yeah, CPA is definitely an aging...
The Dalai Lama of financial planning. If the CPA says it's okay, it's okay. If he says no, it's a no.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You think that they would take our advice the same.
You would think, but no, that's CPA. They have the most street credibility.
Yeah, CPA and attorneys. It's like, I guess you get those degrees and you get all the cred, but I don't know. But good stuff. Mary Brimer with Ginger Green Financial. Mary, great having you on the program. Thank you for all of the advice. Appreciate you very much.
All right.
Good stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Wealth Architect podcast. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio app, and pretty much anywhere on the internet. Just type in Wealth Architect Podcast with Emilio Despirito. We're going to pop up. But special thank you to CJ Moss of Moss Home Solutions for jumping on with us today, talking about wholesaling, how to start a business in wholesaling, how to run a massive wholesaling business. Great stuff. Super inspirational. And Mary Brimer with Ginger Green Financial. She is a total expert in the financial advising space and somebody that I listen to all of the time when it comes to my finances. So feel free to connect with both of them on social media or anywhere where you can find them. And we look forward to hearing and seeing you again here on the Wealth Architect Podcast. I'm Emilio Despirito. God bless. We'll see you soon.